Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven and this is the Storytime channel. Today we have some malicious compliance stories, and our first story of the day is by Wifer 2016, The Peanut Gallery, a math teacher, and how we all earned an easy A. Hello Reddit, come back with me back in time to 1982. Michael Jackson was dancing with zombies, E.T. was setting the world on fire, and I was in grade 10. I was never what you would call smart when it came to math. English, great. Art, even better. Set me down in front of a package of numbers, however, and I promptly turned into a gibbering, panic-stricken dum-dum. After a summer spent in remedial summer school, it was decided by those in authority that insisted of the UP Math, University Preparation Math I had been signed up for, I would instead be moved into the general Math for Dum-Dums classroom at the start of the school year. I was very happy as my friends were also dum-dums and were already signed up for that class, so the first day of school, I skipped blithely through the door and sat down with my class of fellow dum-dums. Standing at the front of the room was a tiny little man in a rumpled suit and a receding hairline. Once we had all settled into our seats, the fellow introduced himself as our teacher for the year. Teacher, I will paraphrase his wonderful accent. Seriously, I loved his accent. Hello students, I am Mr. Moshi. You will call me Moshi. This is math for dum-dums. He really said that. You are here because you are not so good at math, so Moshi make deal with you. Every day you will come to the class. You will sit, talk to friends, play games. Moshi will read newspaper. Every day, Moshi will ask one question. You try. Only try. Moshi give you an A. This class is the Peanut Gallery. Only have to try. You get an A, Moshi read paper. Deal? We looked at each other, grinned, and yelled, deal. Math quickly became my favorite hour of the day. Each day, we would spend the time chatting with our friends, playing games, and Moshi read his paper and ate jelly beans. Before the end of class, he would fold his paper, stand up and put a simple problem on the chalkboard for us to answer. This went on for about 2 months when one morning, Moshi came into the class looking completely panicked. His hands were shaking and he was white as a sheet, which for a man from India was impressive. Moshi said, Moshi is in trouble. Someone, rat teacher, tattled on Moshi. Tomorrow the school board is coming to review your class. Moshi might lose his job. I make a deal with you. You are Moshi's favorite dum-dums. Tomorrow when school board comes, Moshi will teach. You will pay attention. Ask smart questions. Do work. Moshi teach. School board will be impressed and Moshi will keep his job. Oh, how I love that man. After that, Moshi will go back to reading his newspaper and you can go back to talking with friends. Deal? We looked around at each other. We had to protect our favorite teacher. Deal. The next day when we got to the classroom, there were 2 men and a lady in very dapper suits scowling in the back of the classroom. We filed in quietly and took out our still brand new math books. Seriously, they were so new I think some of them creaked when they were opened. We took out scribblers and pencils and calculators. We sat quietly like the perfect little students those bigwigs expected to see. Enter Moshi. His suit was pressed, his shoes were polished, his hair was combed. This was serious. Never had 20 kids paid closer attention to a math lesson. All of us were riveted to Moshi and his chalkboard. We took notes, we asked questions. Heck, we even answered questions posed by the school board monsters. We made sure we were absolutely perfect. At the end of class, the school board drones left smiling after shaking Moshi's hand, and we breathed a huge sigh of relief while grinning at each other. The next day, Moshi came in the class beaming from ear to ear. Moshi says, Moshi loves his dum-dums. You are all wonderful. Moshi still has job. Today, Moshi reads the paper and you talk to friends. At the end of the year, every single one of us had an A on our report cards. Wherever you are, Mr. Moshi, I wish you well. You were the best teacher ever. Small edit to respond to worries he did us wrong. Moshi was sneaky. Those simple problems he put up each day followed the textbook. We learned basic math in spite of our seeming inattention, and all of us passed a simple one-page math exam at year's end. This is why he was such an amazing teacher. So if you were going through school, would you have wanted to have Mr. Moshi as your teacher in one of those years? Let me know if you would have loved to have been in this class in the comments down below. Because as for me, I would have loved to have Mr. Moshi as my teacher. Our next story is by Censkai. I thought you wanted your money back? So this happened to me when I was still employed at a popular video game retail chain. Won't name names, but let's say that it's the place to stop for your game. I worked there for about 8 years, and this occurred around the last year I was with that company when I was a store manager. Now, in my area, we have about 5 of these stores. Because of this, it's not unusual for another store to send someone to you if you had a particular product in stock that a guest wanted. No worries, we'll take care of them. I got this kind of call that day and was sent a guest who wanted to pick up a pre-owned version of a newer video game that had just come out. I don't remember what game it was, only that it was still pretty new at the time. As he came up, I already had the game pulled and was starting to take care of him. He had the paid membership that we offer and a $5 off coupon. Now this is where I have to throw some math out at you. At the time, the membership gave people a 10% discount on any used games they purchased. This game was $54.99 and proudly advertised the discounted price of $49.49 for members on the label. However, coupons worked in the system in a quirky way. Essentially, any coupons took off the standard price of the game in the system. In this case, it was $54.99, making it $49.99 with the coupon before the 10% discount took effect. I usually explain this to guests before they use the coupon because most of the time they expected to take it off the discount price. In example, $49.49 minus $5 equals $44.49. This also leads most people to believe that they're losing money by using a coupon. After explaining how it works, however, most people understood and were okay with it, or decided to just wait and save their coupon for later. Once again, no worries. Glad I could help. After going through my usual spiel with this guest and explaining the coupon oddity, he said that's fine and we finished up the transaction. As I hand him his receipt, he takes a look at it and promptly says, "Wait, this price is wrong." "What do you mean? It should have been cheaper. The coupon should have taken off the lower price." No. I already explained this as I attempt to tell him the spiel again. "No, the coupon should take off the lower price that's advertised." At this point, he was starting to become irate. This being my last year at this job, I was pretty done with most things. Cue my malicious compliance. What this person didn't realize is just how much he supposedly lost by it not taking off the lower price. It was a 50-cent difference. I looked at him and said, "You know what? Okay then. I'll refund the difference for you, sir." I popped my register, grabbed 2 quarters, and forcefully placed them on the counter. He sees the 2 quarters and I can physically see the gears turn in his head. "Here you go." "Oh man, I mean, that wasn't my point." "Okay, then what was your point? I thought you wanted your money back." "Nah man, it should just work the other way." "I already explained why it does that. It's not going to change, but I am happy to take care of you still." This led to him wanting to speak with a district manager, DM. We didn't give out our DM's number to just anyone, they usually call you. I contacted my current DM at the time, explained the situation, and left it in his hands. I told the guest my DM will call you, and he accepted this and left. I later came to find out that this wasn't the guest's first time complaining about this. He had already been told before how it works, and I guess still decided to cause more issues with me at a different store. My DM informed me that he didn't do anything more than explain what I had already explained to him, and I never heard about it again. Moral of the story, always pick your battles, especially when only 50 cents is on the line. Also, to answer the burning question, he didn't take the 50 cents. This guy is gonna go and make a whole fuss about it at multiple stores and then get refunded the difference and then not take it? Come on, dude, pick up your 2 lousy quarters that you wanted because the price is different or whatever and go on about your day. Stop worrying about 50 cents. Stop worrying about the discount price when they already told you multiple times how it works. Our next story is by ISO69, the 10-cent stereo. Some years ago, I had a lowly role in the warranty department of a luxury car manufacturer. Background: the licensed dealerships, who would carry out servicing and warranty repairs, had a lot of leeway in taking the initiative and carrying out a repair. No one wanted aggrieved wealthy people waiting on a distant HQ to approve the fix to their expensive vehicle. But there had to be some checks on what the dealers were doing. They are car dealers after all, and not to be trusted. So they were required to keep most parts removed during warranty for 1 month. That gave one of the HQ's traveling regional service managers, RSM, a sporting change to drop by and inspect the alleged substandard parts. After the month, the parts could be scrapped by the dealerships. But it was not necessary to keep all the parts. Life is too short to bag up every screw or cut length of wiring. Anything with an internal value of under $1 could be scrapped immediately. Every dealer had access to a database of these internal part prices. The mistake. One day, some lowly idiot in the parts pricing department accidentally changed the internal price for the factory-fitted top-of-the-range in-car stereo system. This was fitted to around 90% of all new cars. They changed the internal price from $1,000 to 10 cents. Easy typo to make on a spreadsheet. The dealers noticed this almost immediately. The malicious bit. Pretty much every in-warranty vehicle in the next month that entered any dealership, whether for warranty repair, upgrade, service, or new car delivery, was diagnosed in the dealerships as having a defective in-car stereo system. All the stereos got swapped for new units. The compliance bit. The RSMs never got to inspect a defective stereo. They were all reported as thrown away as required for low-value scrap. The fallout. None really. There was an eternal power struggle between dealers and manufacturers, and dealers won this battle. Though it was a spur to automating the warranty reporting systems so anomalies could be spotted earlier. And there were a lot of as-new top-of-the-range in-car stereo systems advertised on second-hand markets the next month. Bargains for the poorer drivers of luxury vehicles. Well, I'm kind of oddly happy that it benefits the poorer drivers of luxury vehicles. Yeah, they're still driving a luxury vehicle, so they must be some type of person, but now they're all of a sudden able to afford the top-of-the-range in-car stereo systems for their luxury car. I think that's a major win. This next story is by Fishmath. Want me to keep you up to date on my job hunt? You got it, boss. This happened almost 2 years ago when I quit my last job. There was copious amounts of drama which encouraged me it was time to quit and move on. My manager was a man who, if he liked you, your life was set. If he didn't like you, your life was heck. After I put in my notice, he told me I could stay until I found a new job, that I could take as much time off as I needed to interview, etc. In his mind, he thought he could convince me to stay by being overly nice after the fallout that had transpired between us. I started putting in job offers that night. The next morning, I gave him all the details. He smiled and listened. I got my first interview scheduled for the following day. I let him know that, thanks to his generous offer, I'd be taking the following afternoon off to go interview. He smiled a little less. The following day, I gave him every little detail of the interview, about how it was a 20% pay bump with a yearly 10% bonus and 20 vacation days a year. He wasn't smiling anymore. I also let him know I had another interview at our competitor the following day that I need to take the afternoon off for. Come that Friday, I gave him all the details of how that interview went. He looked frustrated at that point. He lowered his glasses and told me, "You don't have to give me every detail, okay? I don't want to hear any more of this." I pretended to act surprised by hearing that. "Oh, I'm sorry, you said you wanted to hear about all the details of the job hunt, so I thought you wanted to know." I also informed him I had a follow-up interview on Tuesday from the first interview that I would need to take time off for. By the time my 2 weeks were up, he was avoiding me every chance he got so he didn't have to hear about my new job. He ended up taking 2 last-minute PTO days on my last 2 days. When trying to be overly nice bites you more than in the butt. I'm guessing that this manager must have been extremely rude to OP. There's not a whole lot of good backstory on why you should necessarily feel good about OP's revenge here, but it's definitely malicious compliance. Our next story is by Glaliz. I asked my boyfriend to put his leftovers in a container rather than put cling wrap on it. He complied. So as I was finishing up my dinner, my boyfriend was putting away what I assumed was his leftovers. He was doing this in the opposite corner of the kitchen, so I couldn't quite see what it was. He took out the plastic cling wrap, to which I immediately said, "Use a container instead, please." He ignored me and began to tear off the piece. So I repeated my request. He turned around and said, "Okay," got a pretty large container and started pouring his leftover beer in it while looking me dead in the face. I found this pretty funny, so I started giggling. He went upstairs, still kind of annoyed, and we currently have a container filled with beer sitting in the fridge. Nice. I love that I scrolled down to the comments after reading this story and it was all just full of what kind of monster saves a beer. Not even like really commenting on the story, just their horror and feelings of disrespect by somebody that was trying to save a beer. And our final story of the day is by ElFontaine. I can use any tool? Okay, I'll grab this flamethrower. So many years ago, I was in the army, stationed at a base that was built in an American desert. In front of our company, about 150 to 200 soldiers building, they used rockscaping to make it look nicer. It had been a while since any maintenance had been done, so intermingled in the nice marble chipped rocks was scattered a ton of weeds. As a junior enlisted soldier, first few years of enlistment, it was our job to do the maintenance around the building. A group of about 8 of us had reported in for the day when we were given the task of picking weeds by our sergeant. Here's where our malicious compliance kicks in. Our sergeant tells us we are to pick weeds for the day, and we aren't done until every weed was gone. There is a shed with tools in it, and we may use anything we find in there. One of us is looking through the shed when he comes across a propane torch. Not anything little either. I'm talking about connected to a full-size propane tank with a handle like a pressure washer and an opening about 3 inches in diameter. When this thing was on, the flame was coming out at least 1.5 feet. We all surround this thing and talk about whether we should use it when I say, "He told us to use anything in the shed. This is in the shed, let's use it." So I grab it and bring it out to use. This thing completely disintegrated the weeds. We made it through at least 3/4 of the weeds when our sergeant comes running outside screaming at us. He started to get angry at us when I reminded him of what he told us and pointed out the fire extinguisher. He laughed and went back inside, telling us we couldn't use it anymore. At least we didn't have to do physical training as our punishment. After this, we weren't given that task ever again, and we still finished well before noon. As long as it doesn't mess up anything else, I don't blame them for using the flamethrower on a bunch of random scraggly weeds growing out of the rocks. It's definitely extreme, but it's also kind of efficient. It's honestly a shame that they got shut down. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which one and why in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like and subscribe if you haven't, and turn on notifications so you'll never miss an upcoming video from the Storytime channel. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, so no matter what you did, thank you for supporting me right here on the Storytime channel. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all next time right here.